How's that for a thumbnail? Should I do that thumbnail? Pulling my hair out. I'm without no more hair left to pull out. All right, that's enough of that. I mean, that's enough of that. There is no chat on the screen. There is just a YouTube video. As usual, I'm going to start the video by saying what we're going to try to do. There is no promise that this video is going to have anything to do with what I say at the beginning of the video. I refuse to promise you that. So this is going to tell you what we're going to try to do, and then you can, and by if you really want to know what the video is about, go to the end. Yeah, go to the end. Go to the end of the video and play like that little part at the end where we go, okay, this is what we actually got done. I don't know how long this video is going to be. It's going to be less than 2 hours though, for sure, because I'm going to be leaving to go do the bike thing. But here's the thing, Harbor. We need to get Harbor installed. Uh, I've already got some of this to work elsewhere, and I've already been working with Harbor in our dev environment. Um, but despite my better judgment, I'm gonna go forward and I'm gonna pretend like I've never installed Harbor, and we're gonna take it again. There's several videos of me starting up, trying to install Harbor, and then regrouping and doing it again. And a lot of the reasons for that is because we've changed our direction based on stuff that we discovered while we were going through Harbor. And I will talk about that when we're going to go through this. This is going to be a talky video. There's going to be a lot of me chatting. Mostly though, it's just going to be Bubblehead Rob and the screen and terminal and all that. In terms of like where we're going to install Harbor, the goal today is going to be to set it up in my desktop here, my VM. I've got eight gigabytes of RAM dedicated to a VM on there, Anton, that I've been using for a while, and it is straight up Linux, so um, it should work. Yeah, we're talking about a Minikube installation. For those of you who want to know what happened to my server, it is dead. Um, I did a whole video about what I was going to do in the lab. I do not have the money right now to go buy a new server, so if you want to follow that, you can. But that means I'm going to be trying to install it in Minikube. And if I can't do it, I can't do it. If that means I go back to the dev environment, fine. But I do like to see if these things are possible. So we're going to try one more time to do Minikube. That means I'm going to have to do a little bit of Minikube setup. Um, there are so many better people to go to learn how to do this stuff front than me. So, if you want to stay around and suffer with me because you're a beginner, that's great. Go for it. Um, there have been a lot of things that have changed, and so this is going to be a process of discovery for me as well. Again, I already got it to work in the dev environment, and now we're trying to do it with a different version. Um, So we'll see what happens with that. By the way, before we get too far into this, I did want to tell you an architectural conclusion that we made on our team, which is not proprietary information that I think is valuable for a lot of teams out there. Um, and I'm going to describe the situation. So this is kind of a story time situation. And I want to tell you how we concluded and why we concluded the way we did. And I do not think we're giving away any secrets here. So I'm going to go ahead and share this. So um, some time ago, a couple years ago, the idea of putting up a different registry, we got off of whatever the other one was. I can't remember even now. And I'm trying to remember the name, but I can't. And so we decided to go with Harbor, and there was some talk back and forth about getting Harbor up and how long it would take, and our clusters were getting kind of outdated. And then we decided to put in Harbor, and there was a little bit of talk about who would put it in and stuff. And my teammate took it on and just spun it up as fast as possible, and that's what we've been running on now. And we've since run into a bunch of conclusions about Harbor, at least that version. And so two really important drivers for the reason that we're going with the latest Harbor, which is 2.11 as of this video. And the first one is that Harbor HA uh, did not work as designed, as it was advertised. And we, I didn't do this, but they did it, and they installed Postgres in an HA scenario and everything, and got Harbor running. And then there were components of Harbor that had no clue about the HA capability of Postgres, even though we were following, lockstep every step of the way to get it to work. And that we had peer review come in, and they confirmed that that's not the case. That it was that at least on the 2.5 version of Harbor, that the idea of using HA Postgres is completely negated by what I would call design flaws in 2.5's implementation of Harbor itself. And so that led us to have to backtrack on that. Actually, the reason this is relevant is because based on what they were selling us, Harbor was selling us in 2.5, um, you could get this really intense, great HA high availability thing by spinning up an independent Postgres and spinning up an independent Redis. And we still haven't got Redis to work in 2.5. It's totally broken. And so we learned a lot about that. And in fact, there was a bunch of other stuff going on at the same time, including a cluster migration. So our clusters are getting upgraded, and they're getting spun up automatically with Ansible and a bunch of other really cool things that I'm not directly involved in. But so my task is to get this up, because there's another big bonus here, and that is the security of the latest Postgres. And that has been a driver. Now, all of this stuff is, behind the firewall and everything. It's not like it would be a security vulnerability at our shop at all. But there is a desire to get us on the latest Postgres, right? So one of the reasons that I'm making another video about this is because after making the last video and coming to a bunch of conclusions, including one very, very important conclusion, and that is, if you have to go from 2.5 to 2.6, 2.7, and 8 and stuff like that, someplace along the way, and I think it's 2.7, 2.8, I think there's at least three of them, there are substantial database migrations, and there are substantial database requirements. And someplace along the way between 2.5 and 2.11, there is also it seems to be, I mean, this is one of the things we have to prove here, there is a more robust um, implementation of the built-in Postgres. All right. Now, something else we need to talk about here is that I went out to check on the charts that we're going to use. We're flattening Helm charts. And most people will say, yeah, go get the bitnami chart and flatten it. That's pretty much the way to go for anything. Um, but in the process, I lost several hours um, running down the Go Harbor rabbit hole. So there is a Helm chart in Go Harbor, and let's see if we can find it. Helm. Let's see. Okay, let's see if it might even be later. The point is I'm just going to keep summarizing here. So the Helm chart, there are references to the Helm chart on Go Harbor, and there are references to the Helm chart on Bitnami on the same documentation site. And I did an exhaustive comparison of the two charts and determined that the Bitnami charts seem to be much more robust. They include integration hooks for external secrets, and I could be getting this wrong, but we're going to find out all this. This is kind of outlining what we're going to do, and it included substantially, very clearly, the Bitnami stuff includes the embedded Postgres and the embedded Redis. By that, what I mean is that it has a built-in Postgres deployment as a part of the chart. So that means that Postgres goes into the same namespace and everything. And even though in our current 2.5 implementation of Harbor, we don't, we have an external Postgres, and an external Redis, which isn't working. But the Postgres is working. It's still in the same namespace as Harbor, but it's managed entirely separately. It has its own installer and everything. So what we want to do, I mean, and that was based on the recommendations as we understood them at the time. I wasn't involved in an installation, but I'm summarizing what I've heard. Um, that the Postgres installation had to be independent, right? You couldn't use the built-in Postgres installation. I'm not even completely sure there even is a built-in Postgres installation uh, for 2.5 because the only chart for 2.5 that I looked at initially was the goharbor chart, and I'm pretty sure that didn't have it. And then I was comparing that to Bitnami, and I was actually comparing 2.11s, and the if I remember this right, the 2.11, the Bitnami charts do have what seems to be a much better Helm chart than the one even on goharbor. And I am not going to rant, you can put a bullet in there, but I am not going to rant about the fact that there is a Bitnami chart and there is a goharbor chart, and nobody knows which one's authoritative. Depends on who you ask, right? And that bothers me. I don't like that. So our team has decided, and this is leading into the actual work I'm going to be doing here. Um, our team has decided that we are very definitely going to stay with the Bitnami chart because that's what we already know, and we're going to flatten that chart into a template. And then we're going to use customize from the command line to change out the pieces we need and eventually layer in and overlay with our vault secrets. And that's what we use. And so that is the goal. That is the goal here, is to create a build script that creates those customized manifests, and then a deploy script which takes, basically does a kubectl apply on those manifests after they've been customized. Um, and I'm very rusty on all of this stuff, so I'm just going to tell you right now, I am not an authority on this. I mean, in fact, as many people that are here in the chat who want to help me, your help would be well appreciated as we go through this. Um, and that's why I'm streaming it, because hopefully somebody will learn something when they catch me doing something stupid. This is a really big deal. It's one of the reasons I'm also streaming it, is as many eyes as possible on this. It's obviously going to go through extensive peer review at work, but the more eyes, the better. We don't want to deploy another hobbled, harbor registry that we then have to do. So the last conclusion about our architectural decisions, this is a big one. This is a really, really big one. And I spoke on it, but I kind of tangented off of it. When you migrate between versions 2.5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, each time you go up, you need to um, use the template in order to do that, and the template has my database migration built into it. So you need to back up your data in your Postgres thing. That's also something we're probably going to write really quick. We already have one, so I'm just going to be ripping off that one. And then we're going to be, so you back up the data, obviously, right? And then you apply the template, and then you make sure everything works, and then if it worked, then your data should have been migrated, and but you get your database backup to go to. You let that run for a while, I would suggest, and then go to the next version. Well, you can tell. So the biggest dilemma here, and this is really the moral of the story, do not get behind. Because if you get behind 6 or 7 levels, you can't just, run a build script that's going to take you from this version to this version by flattening the manifest and letting you change a few values and letting you go. You actually have to do that and do some other things. And we actually created a plan for that using our Git repo and tagging, different branches for the different increments, and then actually during a change window, doing each one of those, all 6 of them during the change window, which is not suboptimal, because at that point you've got database migrations that you can't really confirm. So you've also got some sort of systems integration test to write, which we're also going to do. We're gonna come up with some ideas about how to test this whole thing and make sure that it's working as intended preferably from the command line, but if not, read it through a written procedure to make sure that all this stuff is working. Um, so based on all of that, the work to do that is significantly more. So because that meant that I would have to flatten each version all the way through, and then we would have to apply them incrementally and do a systems test on each one, and recovery, and then land on 2.11 and hope that we made it. Uh, the fact that we are moving to another cluster and that we have a bunch of leftover old stuff behind and users in the terms of users we've got old users, we got old um, old repos, old containers, a bunch of old data. And when you're backing up the Postgres database for a container image registry for a HPC ML shop, those images are huge, some of them. I mean, I can't believe the size of these images. Okay, kind of like defy the definition of what a container should actually be, right? Because they're so big. Um, so we've decided, and I'm just letting you know, we've decided that we are definitely going to start with 2.11 in a new, fresh, clean cluster. And we're going, instead of migrating the data, we're going to tell everybody, look, if you need help migrating your data, let us know. But we're using this as an opportunity because we got a new cluster. We're using it as an opportunity to clean up that data. We're also using it as an opportunity to use a new user authentication technique, which is not else on the other system. And porting all of that, writing all the code and doing all the automation testing, systems integration testing to port all of that would have been a tremendous extra amount of work. So that is not the primary motivator, though. The primary motivator is that we want to get people used to the new system and we want to have them using it. So this isn't a cop out as much as it is, hey, we've got this system and it's new and shiny, go kick its tires and put your stuff over there. And in the process, by the way, we were about to go through a cleanup audit of the previous data. And so for that, to that end, we are going to, do this other thing. And we've got to create new user accounts anyway with the new authentication. So a lot of stuff to take in there. If you're new to Kubernetes and everything, most of the stuff I said will be absolutely like unintelligible. You have no idea what I'm talking about. But let's get into it. Okay, so here I am grabbing my mouse. I'm not going to use that, that's for sure. Um, okay, so um, let's see here. Let's change to little Rob. You know what I don't like about this whole presenter mode thing is that everything is always backwards. You see that? Yeah. Amazon delay, can't read it. I mean, it's fine, but it annoys me. Anyway, um, it also, because if it was flipped, it would have me like looking like I was looking at the screen. Oh well. I am sort of at work, so I might be distracted on occasion, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to edit the video because it takes too much time. So, just reading some stuff here about vacation rotations. All right. Um, let's do this. So we talked about this already. I'm gonna just set up some Zets here. And I should probably get my phone so I can read the chat. Can you pause for a second? You know what? I'll put some music on. No, I'll just go get it. I'll put the fishies on. I'm gonna go get the my phone so I can actually see your guys' chat coming in while I'm doing it. Um, all right. There we go. Do I support Spark? No. Data training. Container data sizes the data is large. Sometimes people data in there. Home lab series. This is not home lab this, but we will be doing some of that. How's the sound, by the way? I should probably ask that earlier. I'm using a lapel mic because it's just easier. It's just much easier for me to manage. All right, so I am kind of comparing notes here to some stuff that we've already got done. All right, so we've actually already started some of this, so let's see if we can go find it again. I think we had Kate Sap Harbor, it was called, right? Kate Sap Harbor. Um, Trying to fix the screen so you can see. All right, so we got our build script here. Here we go. Modernize our latest Kate Sap. Um, oh, and this is, as you can see. Actually, let's do a little recap. So I've already started this. I think I might have done it in another video, but I'll go ahead and recap really quick just to remind myself what we're doing. So let's start up Tmux here. Um, so so we've got this notion of a Kate's app, which is basically you have a README like this, you have a build script, you have a directory with manifest in it, and you put all your resources in here. So if you've got like images that need resources, you can put them in there like that. And any of your extra dependencies like tools and stuff, uh, scripts that you might have needed, or even subroutines, libraries, and stuff like that, they go under tools. Um, the YAMLs that are here are just me messing around with stuff. You can see, obviously, I've got a different branch going on, and there's two other things that are not here right now. So let's go ahead and add those. Um, I can put my face up here. How about that? Let's do. Um, let's just actually touch those files really quick. So there's going to be a deploy and an undeploy. And I'm going to just change those permissions right now. They don't have anything in them. Uh, Undeploy. All right. So that should give us some stuff. Hey, thank you for the sub. Appreciate that. I don't have my notifications on for that fun stuff, like with a little light. So I'll just give you a thumbs up for the sub. How's that? All right, so here's the build, deploy, undeploy. Um, Actually, let's put something in those things. Uh, Data is in Postgres, yes. So we're gonna use bin bash. Oh, that reminds me. That reminds me, we need to do all this on Linux. So I've been doing this on my Mac, and we hit some roadblocks. So you can't do it on a Mac. You can't put hardware on a Mac. Sad day. No harbor on a Mac. Wait, what? Where's my rainy day? Come on. Oh well. So let's not get too far into this. Get stats because we're going to be copying it over. Oh damn. All right, let's commit it all. Let's do kit-a dot, and then let's say git commit uh some initial scaffolding. You know what? I realize I'm probably gonna have to do some setup. I'm gonna apologize right now. I'm gonna get stuck doing a little bit of Linux setup, but it's not horrible. My keys are not on this screen. I turned my S keys off. Yeah, I don't know. Some people said they didn't like them. Uh, do you guys want them back? I mean, we should have a vote for the keys. People were saying they were not a fan. So yeah, what was it called? Key caster. Distributed because that's Harbor. I didn't make the choice. Fireshot. That's not my choice to make. Harbor has already that made that decision. You don't care about the keys, okay? Yeah, I think that's a no. I think we'll just. I mean, I tell you what. I'll turn it on when we do Vim someday. All right. So, uh, did we push it already? Wait, what? Git push. All right. So there we are. We did git push. Um, Okay, so now we can do the other thing, and some of you, hopefully I don't give away the farm here, but some of you know already that I use VNC. I actually pay for it. I know, sue me. I just really love it. It's just so clean. A little bit of a flashbang there. I'm sorry about that. So this is actually you're looking at the streamer OBS that I use when I do my IRL streaming. Um, which is weird because I just minimized the Mac thing and really I need to minimize the Windows thing. And there we go. I know that's like really weird looking. And I also have this big screen behind me. Thank you. Now we're getting the sound. You know why we're getting the sound?
Underscore 12 is now following.
We're getting this sound. This is crazy. So think it's listen to this. Okay. So we're getting sound now because OBS has got the plugin on it, and I am real VNC'd into the Windows machine, which has audio support that's getting pumped through my Mac through real VNC. Pretty crazy, right? So you're like, why is this a Windows machine? I don't want to get into that. It's a Windows machine because Zip's whipped mostly. But we do need to spin up Anton, who, I thought about building another VM as a part of the home lab. If you want to see me do that, I will do that as a part of that. Um, Anton is off right now because some of my IRL streaming was getting a little choppy. Um, and that was kind of causing a problem. You know what's funny is I actually have this screen right in front of me right now as well, which is just insane. Skip this version. Okay, so there's Anton. Anton's running in the background now. And now we can actually exit out of this. And I'm trying to figure out how to do that without killing it. Here we go. Quit Real VNC viewer. All right. So now we're no longer tied to Real VNC. You can actually do everything I just did with Real VNC from your phone. I've actually messed with OBS from my phone while I was on my bike. It's pretty amazing. Um, that's one of the reasons I pay for it because I like that reliability. I know I could probably set it all up myself, but I like paying for it. I've set up VNC servers before, but it was years ago. So we're looking again at this machine, and we can now SSH into Anton.local. If you don't know about Avahi, stay tuned. We'll go talk about that some other day. We're looking at Anton. Let's look at Anton's stats for a second. Just to give you a sense of it, what Anton is. Anton is a Ubuntu machine, VMware. Normally I would have this running on a Red Hat machine or something because I do want to get good with Red Hat. That's what we host on most of our stuff. This is run on Intel. I mean, it's got lots of stuff. It's only using 512 megabytes of 8 gig of RAM. So um, so we should be good to run Minikube and everything over here. Um, and stuff. Yeah, I don't know about the TikTok thing. I don't know about that. So anyway, so as far, I mean, everything you're seeing now is Linux, which is confusing, right? Because I'm actually streaming from a Mac, but now I'm SSH'd into a Linux machine, which is what I prefer to do anyway. I don't need desktop Linux. I don't care for desktop Linux at all. I streamed from desktop Linux for 2 years. Rant about that another day. So what are we doing here? Well, first of all, we need to get the repo. So I'm going to cd into repos. I may actually, I don't even need to do that. Let's see if I already have it. Clone Kate Sap. This is my own thing, Harbor, and that should do it. And cd in there. That's actually a function. There it is right there. You can freeze it and read about it if you want to understand it and see how it works. It's a really great little function to have. It needs to be a function, not a script, because it's going to CD, and that's changing your current runtime environment for shell, which cannot be done from a script. So we are in here. We can see what we got here. Get branch. We want to get them all. So um, let's see, get check out dash B, and it'll tell me which one it is because I can't remember. So modernize tab. And we'll do that, and that should get us here. I'm turning my TV off because it's too bright. There we go. Hopefully it didn't kill my computer. Oh God, it's so dark now. It was color correcting. Okay, the camera's. I mean, camera fixed my color correction. Thank God. It was like that weird color. Okay, so what are we doing? It's not really performing very well right now, actually. Yeah, it's a little choppy. Yeah, that's because it's talking to a VM over my network, and that's why it's choppy. And that's going to be annoying as hell. So, that's also actually being caused by it being a VM in Windows. Um, so I'm pausing because I'm actually seriously considering, no, I should probably change my view here. Yeah, I'm kind of seriously considering, um, wait, where is it? There it is. Is that working now? I'm seriously considering um, blowing away what's on this computer and uh, putting all Linux on it again because I don't have the money for a server right now. Even if it's only 700 bucks. Hey guys, I'm streaming in here. Thank you. This is why I moved back to this room, by the way. Just so you know, I'm thinking of you. I'm not even kidding. That's the reason I moved back in here because it was so noisy out there. I couldn't stream. I couldn't actually talk. So, neofetch is a good command. Yep. No audio is coming from them to the stream. Thank God. They're totally yelling. Um. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. No server. This server will probably get repurposed as a Linux machine, but I need to be careful about doing that because all my IRL streaming is running through there. That's a home lab related issue. It's back to the topic at hand. Let's do this. Okay, so back to the shell. We can see if we have the latest. We should have the latest, I'm thinking. Huh. You wish to set tracking permissions so much you can do this with setup stream. I thought I did that already. Guess not. Origin, modernize. I don't do this very much, obviously. Wait, what did I miss? Wait, why is it doing Z? Because my fingers are typing it? It's not doing tmux. Oh, we're not tmuxed in. Okay. Yeah, I screwed up. I needed another wrench name. There we go. Git pull. Mac voice isolation. Nice. Um, so laggy. It is really laggy. It's driving me nuts. All right, let's set tmux up here. Um, anyway. All right, what do we need to do now? So we set up a resource earlier. Actually, is it a resource or a tool? I think we set up a tool to set up Minikube. Yeah, we did. All right, so this script sets up a Minikube environment for prod dev and imp. And I actually don't need this because goharbor runs in imp. Um, but if you wanted to do that, you could do that. I kind of want to reuse this. We were using the Kimu 2 driver too. We're actually going to use the KVM driver now. Um, can't see my command line. Oh, because I'm on a different thing. Thank you for telling me. Yeah, I don't know what happened with that. Let me fix that. I am in the process of fixing it for you. So yeah, these screens don't mesh up. It's kind of annoying. Better? Yeah. All right. And the only downside of that is that when I do this, just so you know, when I do large, it puts a black thing at the bottom, chops my head off. But that's how come I did that because I noticed that from last time. But that's okay. Um, Thank you for letting me know. So, it's hard to, run your own studio and try to get something done. Um, I don't even know that we need any of this here. I feel like it's kind of a waste. I feel like all of this stuff is a waste. So we actually have a requirement that everything run on bin bash, which Mac has, in their infinite lack of wisdom, decided to not allow to run, um, which is really sad. So, I'm going to leave this here and I'm going to change it to bin bash. Well, they don't allow bin bash to be, I'm sorry, they don't allow bin bash to be set to bash 5. You have to use a bad one. You had it from homebrew, but then you can't use it from a Mac. No, you can't. It's against security policy for you to change bin bash to point to a homebrew bash. And if you figure out a way to do it, you gotta let me know because I am so pissed off about that. You can't. You can, yeah. You just use it. You use it directly, yeah. Or you use user bin and bbash. But our KSAP specification says you can't use a bash unless your bash is bin bash the end. So RTPX so live. Oh, what is that about? What is RWX OLAV about? RWX Olive. Well, that sounds like a great name. I like it a lot. Um, Home folder. Sounds like today I learned. Oh, right. What specification did I say? There's a specification that we've been following called the KSAP spec, which it's our kind of internal thing. Um, and there's no IP related to this. I can actually talk about what our KSAP spec is in kind of general detail, and then I'll write out a best practices that's sort of inspired by it. Um, but I mean, it's nothing fancy. I can just tell you in a nutshell, it is that you have a README with certain sections in it. Um, in like 5 minutes, I'll tell you. A README with certain sections are required. You have a build, a deploy, and an undeploy script, and you have a manifest directory, with a base, and then with different ones depending on what kind of cluster you're putting it in. We have specific extensions to that part based on our infrastructure. You have a resources that has any hard-coded images you have to have, or um, Docker images, things like that, Docker files. And you have a tools that's got anything that your build and deploy and undeploy scripts might need, and that's it. So these YAML files that I committed, those should never be saved to our final version. These are from my experimentation earlier to make sure I could draw a distinction between the two. Um, there's a set number of, we use a set number of expected environment variables. So we have these that we use across the board, so you can kind of make sense of what it is. The goal of KSAP is to create a consistent way of installing, managing Kubernetes applications in our cluster. And the specification is ambiguous enough in order to uh, let certain applications be installed with controllers, others to be installed with the Helm chart, others to be, with a flattened Helm chart, and others to just, to have their own installation method. The biggest lack of the biggest second day failure in the entire Kubernetes ecosystem is there is not a single common way to deploy an application. As much as Helm wants to be, I've ranted extensively about this. You can go watch my videos about it. As much as Helm tries to call itself a package manager, it is not. In fact, it's actually dangerous. Helm is substantively bad for your environment. And it regularly violates, it has business logic built into the templates. The templates are regularly out of sync. In fact, I can't remember the substantial Kubernetes project that had 3 different installers, and the controller would result in a template and a footprint of Kubernetes objects installed that were totally different than what gets installed by the Helm chart. Um, and this is a rampant, raging problem in the Kubernetes world, and I don't think it's ever going to change. So the only way to protect yourself from this is to create your own installers, deploy, undeploy, build from whatever the original upstream sources are, and then to try to stay as upstream as possible, right? I personally think that this will always be a problem for Kubernetes because there is no standard. Kubernetes is just a specification. It's not even standard. So whether you use Vault or, any of the other ones that exist out there, it's all, the standardization of the applications that get used is different across the board. So there's no way someone can create a package for all those things unless they could cover the infinite number of combinations that are possible for how people have deployed Kubernetes. And this problem is not going away. So the closest thing we could, 2 years ago, uh, I came up with the team here on stream with the original specification for the Kates app, which is basically just it's out there somewhere so you can go find it. It's just a loosey-goosey, you have to have this section that tells people how to do this. If you're flattening the chart, tell them how to do it like this. It was basically like, here are some best practices to save yourself. And the most recent case app that we're using at work now has been iterated by somebody else from the team coming to it saying, no, we want to be able to Ansible-ize some of this stuff. And so they went ahead and that's a long time ago. Yeah, that's a very old one. And so the latest uh, idea for this was to add a build, a deploy, and an undeploy script, which I considered doing in the original specification, but shied away from for lots of reasons, including you can't account for upgrade paths like more than 2 versions, right? This particular I already talked about it at the beginning of the video, but this particular approach has some pretty substantial flaws when it comes to upgrading, because you kind of have to punt and have a section in your README that says, if you're upgrading more than 1 version at a time, do this and this and this. But the idea is that once you get your Kates apps into this form, that you just you change the version in the build script, um, you know, and you check the manifest files that results after you run build to see what has changed, which is really great because now you can see truthfully what the people who designed this application are actually doing. There's no hiding that, right? Once you flatten the Helm chart and you compare the manifests, you know in very explicit, excruciatingly PRable, detail everything that's changed that's going to go into your system, right? And then you just undeploy the last one and you deploy the new one. And that is a part of that. But this whole idea of undeploy deploy kind of has a built-in assumption that you're just going between one version to the next. Because if you do more than that, which has been the problem I just outlined, then this assumption that you can just run undeploy and then run deploy with a new one might not work, right? So let's say, for example, if I were to make the assumption here that 2.5.1, I had a chart already made. I've already had a case app if I had 2.5.1, which I don't. But if I did, I would say undeploy, and that would undeploy that harbor, potentially taking us down in the process. So hopefully a change window, and then you would say deploy on the new one, right? Well, that deploy script has to know where you were and where you're going to go, and it has no knowledge of that, right? So the original specification did not have an undeploy and a deploy for that reason. By running a deploy, you have to know where you were. Most Kates apps have to know what version they were previously on. And since you just ran undeploy, you don't know that anymore. So you can't say, I'm going from here to here. If I were to tweak the spec more, and I didn't catch this when the spec was run through me as a PR reviewer, which I approved, but if I had it to do again, I would very, very clearly have addressed the idea of incremental stuff. And at that point, are you just rebuilding Helm, right? And I don't think we are. But so there's this implied thing in deploy and undeploy. And you got to, cover all those caveats yourself. Say, look, if you're going to run undeploy and then you're going to deploy, make sure that you're just going one version at a time. This deploy assume. So that's the other thing. So the other assumption is that you're not doing any upgrading at all. This is only for installing brand new stuff, right? And that's another issue entirely. In fact, I believe the person who made the changes would argue that deploy is assuming that you have a totally greenfield, clear, new application to deploy. And it's up to you to come up with the upgrade strategy. So, but people coming into this specification looking at it might not see it that way. What is the deploy script is stateful in terms of written against the prior version? No, that's the thing. It's not specified, right? It's unspecified whether it is or it isn't. And that's part of our specification that worries me, right? But the answer to that would be you would put it in the README. You could say, note, this deploy assumes an absolutely, zero level. This application is going for the first time, but when is that ever the case, right? So, like a database migration. Well, that's what I think. If we're going to actually have undeploy and deploy, and we're going to codify that, then yeah, I think you need to do that. I do. I think there's kind of this implicit assumption that your undeploy script should assume, one version under the one that you have. But the current state is that the undeploy assumes the same version that the deploy is. So I don't know. Yeah, there's stuff I can't, I got to get shit done. So I can't spend too much time worrying about that. You know what I mean? Um, but that's kind of where we are. We're at this like weird place. There's a couple other things. I've actually refused to use one of the fields here that I absolutely hate. That snuck in without me catching it. They have a field called application namespace, and I mean application version. And there's a very specific term called application version in Helm, which points to application version. But in the case of a Helm chart that's being flattened, our team has decided to reuse that field as the chart version. And I refuse to do that in this one. If they want to if they want to PR me and they say change it, fine. I don't want to do that. It's too confusing. They're like, if it's a Helm chart, then the application version is the chart version. It's confusing as fuck. I don't want to. I don't want to do that. So I just went ahead and said fine because there's nothing in the spec that says I can't do what I want, and I call it Harbor chart, Postgres chart, Redis chart. Now the reason these charts are here and we're going to immediately change this is because the last round that I did this, I actually started building 3 installers, which is no longer the case, because we don't need that anymore. Let's see, where is it? It was in a tools directory, I think. So, the VM is so laggy. It's like right next to me. I'm like literally sitting right next to it. So I decided to kind of break out, Harbor, Postgres, and Redis, and this is based on the now defunct assumption that Postgres and Redis had to have separate installers. So I know from looking at the chart, which let's go look at, that we no longer need that anymore. We just need the one build script, and we can put it all in the same because of the bitnami chart. So here is the flattened bitnami chart. Um, and another thing here, the current version has a grep-va on anything with Helm in the name. And let me show you why that's a huge mistake. Um, because as much as we want to get rid of Helm, doing that would absolutely break this chart. So again, this is the Harbor HA one. Got our Harbor Job Services. This is the stuff that if you were going to run kubectl, customize and run it again directly, or Helm apply or whatever install, it would actually create these resources and then stick them in your, and, do the same thing as kubectl apply, dash f apply. So we're just doing that step by ourselves by putting it in a script because we want to look at the chart. If you install a Helm chart without examining the template it's going to generate, good luck. Good luck, really. People do it all the time, but no. So a lot of people kind of innocently would say, God, I want all these ugly Helm labels out of here. And they'll grep-va those things out. And because they're like, I don't want any residue of Helm in my deployment. But there are lots of reasons not to do that. First of all, if you don't have a clean way to remove those tags using actual YAML trees, rooted node trees, yeah, go see my other videos about KSAP and KT and all the stuff I'm doing to do transformations on YAML directly and safely. Using sed and grep are not safe, and they're just not. And because it might work, it might not. And so yeah. Curl sudo sh install Helm chart equals yes. Mindset, perfectly said. Perfectly said. I love that. Proper YAML changes. Last time I messed with this. Yeah. Did you? So if you want to do it properly, you can use YT for that and use the selector query language from YT and JSON, or you can convert it to JSON and you can do the conversions using JQ. Um, I have yet to look at the underlying code for the YT, which is Go, and see if we can pass a YT query transformation query directly to the thing that is parsed the YAML. I've written my own YAML node library, helper library that we use in production today to do those transformations, and it does it by walking the YAML node tree in a very sort of traditional rooted node tree descending kind of computer sciencey way. But I would, if there's already a query language that does it, it's built in and that's trustable, I would do it. Walking a node tree with your own function might be a little bit more problematic. It's going to be hella faster to do that. So that's why I went with the YAML node tree option. I'm continuing to look through the thing here. There's the trivia install. That is how you tell whether your residing images are safe or not. You have to set that up after the fact, though. Um, what else we got? Um, let's see. There's the okay. So here we go. So here's the Postgres secret. So one of the transformations we're going to do, and I'm not doing it right now, but one of the transformations we're going to do is we're going to take this secret right here, and we're going to turn it into an external secret that queries from Vault. And so during our deploy will be redone to use vault secrets. Don't worry about this password, by the way. These pass. If I were to deploy it, these haven't been deployed anywhere. So, but those are secrets. By the way, those kind of things will also trigger in a security audit if they're in your files if you haven't done something with them. So that's kind of annoying. Um, okay, so there's all the Redis stuff. There's the Harbor Core stuff. We have to look through all of this stuff just cause. So Harbor Job Services, environment variables. It's gonna take a while, but we gotta migrate all that out of there. There's another secret. So many secrets. Gotta look at that one. I could probably skip the secrets section. Config maps, yay. If you don't know what Kubernetes are, these are Kubernetes objects or resources, depending on who you ask. That's what they are. I think the most recent official name for them is resource. So there's config map. That's just a bunch of key value pairs for configuration. Enable AOF, disable AOF persistence. There is a bunch of interesting information in here in the form of comments, and I want to show you. There's actually one Helm very important Helm comment that gets removed if you grep-va it in here. I don't. It might not be here. It might have just been the goharbor chart. I don't remember. There is an assumption about bin bash in all the code. That's super important that you validate that you maintain that. bin bash should be the standard scripting language for all Kubernetes things. And that means if you're going to try to run it in Minikube on your Mac, that you make sure that it's bash 2 point whatever, but I don't think that that's a good idea. I think you should just be able to use whatever bash you want. There is no, yeah, that does make me wonder if our specification does not say what version of bash we're able to use. And I am going to ask about that really quickly on chat while I can. Um, because just just give me a second, just curious. Was there, is it worth noting the bash version we can use or just the one on? All right, I'm just asking a question about if it's worth adding the a specific bash version to our convention so people know what they're coding against. That's significant because between bash 4 and bash 5, you can actually use hash maps. And hash maps can be can be kind of useful for templatizing things in ways that are not requiring customize. So because you can create a key value pair map and then use that to kind of write your own replacement template thing. We have a tool that we're working on to do the template replacement, but if that's actually one reason you would want to use bash 5. So and I don't believe it's available in bash 4. Uh, okay. They're saying that bash 5 is the required one, so I agree with that. Build things on Alpine and binsh is what you'd use for that. Yeah, but these not in Kubernetes. Um, so that's just to be clear, this is not a requirement for all the containers. This is a requirement for build, deploy, and undeploy within our little KSAP specification. So the statement about what bash we're using kind of implies that you need to run these scripts on in our particular case, we force that these scripts must be run from this a specific system, and that system has all of the dependencies, including Scopio, Builda, Podman, and a bunch of other stuff. The our tool for doing template replacement, stuff like that. So that's kind of a part of that. But I just thought of it by going through the chart here. Um, let's see. These are all Kubernetes objects. Yeah, these are Kubernetes objects. They are for sure. So but that's what reminded me of it, though, right? It does make me wonder, though, why would they put this in the object? Is that a config map? Was that config map just a script that was going to get written to a node? What was it? It is. Okay. Yep. So this config map is just a big string at the end of the day, and we don't care about that, right? But that's up to Redis. If Redis wants to use bin bash, that's up to them, right? The only time that would be a problem is if for some reason doing kubectl apply ran these scripts on the running platform, which would never be the case, right? So I just wanted to talk through that. Hardware core environment variables. Um, and with Trivy true. Yeah, yeah. Oh, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right because this is just a big screen. Who gives a shit, right? When I saw the bin bash, it just triggered a kind of a related thing. It has nothing to do with the script, though. You're right. Yeah. Um, so we have cardboard code config maps. Harbor Job Service namespace, Barlog jobs. I'm just trying to get in my head around how they've deployed their app. If you don't have any Kubernetes knowledge, this stuff's gonna look like gibberish. Uh, Kind of as a fun fact, this is why Kubernetes people and DevOps people are called YAML programmers because they spend all their day writing YAML and learning the syntax of a specific type of YAML depending on the application. Um, you know, this is something I actually really like about Bitnami that is not, if I remember right, this is not in the Harbor chart. I'm going to go confirm that right now. But you see this right here, the HTTP proxy. It actually includes, this is really key for enterprise deployments um, because you need to hard code these in your deployment. And what is this about? This is a bad Helm chart. You see this? That's bullshit. I got to compare that to our deployed version. That's absolute bullshit. You see that? That's an error in the printf statement that ran from the Helm chart. You see this right here. These here, I'll point at it. Right, right there, where it says missing right there and right there. That right there is bad. That's super bad. This would probably break your proxy. Holy shit. I'm glad I looked at this Helm chart. Okay, time for me to make a point. Boys and girls, and everybody in between. You can't say boys and girls anymore. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be weird. Check your Helm charts, people. Check your Helm charts. Run your apply. Mind's Eye said it perfectly. If you doing kubectl, let's see, doing Helm install is the same as curling a script from the internet to bash without checking the script. Don't do it. This has been brought to you by I oh my god. I just can't deal with that right now. That I'm so glad I looked. All right, I've got to go compare it to our actually deployed one. Um, what is the resource? Config map. Okay, so config map, Harbor job service nvars. Harbor, I'm checking our production one. No, they're populated. They're all populated but one. One of our production ones has a missing in it. Yep. Okay, now this is a tough decision. I wish there was a faster way to do this. Now we have to decide, do we dive into the depths of Harbor Helm to see who fucked up and possibly even consider submitting an issue? Or do we go our merry way, see if it actually works anyway, and let them screw with their own stuff that they should have tested better anyway? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer, but this is why you need to flatten it, because once you see something bad like that, you can't unsee it. God, I fucking hate Kubernetes. I do. I hate it. I hate code period, but I hate Kubernetes like this. I've gotten very jaded. Buck up, little camper. Whose job was this observability team? Oh god, the log leaks. Oh god, look. Reported me to head for like 10 more. I know. Because there's no attention to quality. It's all like get it out there fast. Oh shit. Someone is sending me something. This is not good. I just got a message from somebody. I don't know who. I'm gonna make sure I'm not in trouble or something. Give me a second. I know I know you're like, go get coffee or something. Don't complain. All right. Speaking of coffee, did you dare me to yell really loud at my wife who came home early to bring me coffee? How many bits? Hey Doris! It's so easy to make coffee. I just have to push a button now. The beans are in the machine. I just have to push a button. I just push the bean, the coffee comes out. Oh God. Okay, stay on task, Rob. You know why I get off task? Because I fucking hate this stuff. I hate it. Sorry. I'm getting kind of negative. I hate Helm. I hate it. Give me some Go code any day. Maybe she's watching the stream and I could ask her. Okay, here we go. There's the bug. Is there a good soul out there who wants to add like a bug submission? You know what's about to happen. Yeah, it's like I don't want to look, and because I know it's coming. It's going to get even worse. Um, I'm putting my face here. I do like this whole presenter thing where I can like move my hands around and stuff. That I do love. I do love that. There. It's the Mac thing. Sue me. I'm on a Linux machine via a Mac. So there. I don't care what you think of me. All right, what else? We got that's fine. More ciphers embedded. Proxy pass / portal. What? Why is that hard coded? What is this resource? It's Nginx, yeah? Yeah, okay. Good old Nginx. We love you. Where did my white balance go? I'm all red now. Oh, I know what it is. It's because of the light behind me. Yeah, I should probably turn it off. I like my light though. I like it, but it's making me purple. So, um, I am fighting off putting this off and going eating coffee because I fucking hate it. Um, I don't need to debug Nginx right now. I trust Harbor on that. Okay, Harbor portal. Oh, did that mean that they have a service called Portal? I'm guessing. Oh, Max is here. I thought Doris was here. It's just my stepson. Yeah, it's just up above. Okay. That's fine then. I thought maybe they were hard coding some sort of proxy reference, which would suck. Um, oh, these are just all internal. These are just all internal service references, DNS names. Yeah, so that's fine. Which is like Kubernetes networking is like an entirely different species of networking. If you can know, you can be doing a network engineer your whole life and like come to Kubernetes and have to deal with an ARP storm and go, what the hell? It's it's a big thing. Anybody who's a beginner, they see Kubernetes and they're like, "Oh my God, I got to learn all that." I'm like, "Yeah," and it's not fun. There's a lot of people who are happy. There's like a Twitch streamer the other day bragging about uninstalling Kubernetes from their home lab because they didn't have to play with it anymore. This is not an advertisement for Kubernetes, in case you can't tell. I hate it. I fucking hate Kubernetes, but it pays the bills. Um, wait, is that hard code? Is that hard coded PVC? It is. Oh shit. Okay, so this is something to note. We're gonna have to change. We're gonna have to cap a resource requests here. I'm wondering if they've already bumped the quota in our Kubernetes policies for Harbor because the images are so big. Remind me to look into that. I need to remind myself to look into that somehow. Oh. Anyway, let's keep going. Um, okay. What is this? Persistent volume claims. If you're new to Kubernetes, just so you know, persistent volume claims, this is that thing right there, they are how Kubernetes manages storage. And like, give yourself like 3 months to understand Kubernetes storage. There is no storage. There is no storage. This is not the storage you are looking for. Oh, okay, default Postgres HL. I'm only 41% through. You know why? Because this is I'm getting another somebody keeps sending me stuff and I'm missing it, I guess. I'm going to my elites, my things because I don't want to miss something. Somebody keeps sending something and I keep hearing it. You heard it, right? Okay. All right. Um, didn't hear it. That's nice. Hey, onion. You're that onion. You're not just any onion. Um, then we got PVC. So anyway, the reason this is so big is we got Postgres, Redis, and Harbor in there. And believe it or not, we have to add more. We're going to add a Postgres backup process that uses PG dump to the manifest in addition to everything else. And I am now running out of power. How am I running out of power? Quick! We need more power! Oh my God! Oh my God, I need more power. I need more power. Please don't die. Please don't die. Oh no. I forgot to plug it in. What kind of idiot does that? I'll be right back. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do do do. Ah! All right, I'm coming. Mm-hmm. Used to be I could take it with me, but now it would just unplug you if I did that. Wait. All right. I gotta get. This is a new setup in case you're wondering. Yeah. Can I go get coffee now? All right. Like, do something. I'm gonna put my mic here. I'm gonna go make coffee. I'll be back. I'll put the fishies on. I can't put music on or anything because it'll demonetize the video. What? Where did my bond file go? That makes me very sad. There you go. Back in a bit. Oh wait, what is going on? Oh, that's weird. Why is it so? Oh, I'll be back in a bit. God. Multi-streaming. Well, actually, I'm not multi-streaming. I could. I've thought of it. I've thought about multi-streaming now, but I've just been pushing the videos up to YouTube. I should probably do the multi-stream though. We should. We should probably multi-stream. That would be better. It's a great idea. I just remember that I'm gonna try to go biking at 4, so we don't have a lot of time. This means I'm probably gonna be. My wife's doing a late night tonight. I'll be back. It means I'll be doing more streaming later because I got work to finish. Either that or I'll be up early tomorrow. One of the two. We need to make some progress on this. Um. So anyway. Um. All right. We got. This is the kind of thing I can just drink coffee and read like a novel. So sounds still good. Yeah. Check 1, 2. All right. Just checking. Um. Okay, now this is important, and in fact, we're going to actually take a break looking at this YAML and look at a different YAML really quick. We're going to look at the Harbor Go Harbor YAML and see if there is this. Let's actually open up to. Uh, let's call this one as this the YAML, and why are we doing this? Because I want to understand the differences between them. I don't know why, I just do. Um, so here we go. This is the TCP. We're starting to get into the Postgres stuff, right? So let's call this one um, bitnami YAML. So we have the two charts, and I want to see where the charts diverge from one another. That is the substantive difference. And my memory is correct. Uh, this here does not exist in the other one. So Harbor Postgres. I could be wrong though, so that's what we're about to find out. So Harbor Postgres. Nope, I was right. Okay, I feel better about myself. Just less more. All right. So why does that matter? Why does that matter? I'm going to make a point again. Here's the point making screen. The reason this matters is because, as the instructions say for Harbor, if you want Postgres if you want Harbor HA, that means you need to install Postgres by yourself. If you saw the previous video where I was trying to do this, that is why I started writing basically a mini Kates app for Postgres installation that was embedded into the build script. And I wrote 3 build scripts, one for Postgres, one for Redis, and one for Harbor, because I needed to get the manifest files so that I could apply those and do the magic there. But as you can see, the bitnami chart for the same exact version has Postgres, has a Harbor dash Postgres data object, Kubernetes object, and the Go Harbor chart does not. That is really important. And for those of you who know Kubernetes, you know exactly why it's important. Because it just doesn't exist. It's like, so, so here we go. So again, this here, had I seen that earlier, had I known that that was in the original bitnami chart, and somebody could yell at me for not using that because that's what they were using now. Right now we're using the bitnami chart and we have a Postgres just like this, but it's disabled. It's disabled for whatever, God knows what reason. I think it was because we were trying to do something different and have it be completely independent. The resolution of the team now is, now just stay with upstream. Don't cross the streams. Get it? I am gonna drink coffee now. So what this means is that we're going to pay really close attention to the next little section here, and this is why this file is only 42% long down here. That's what this is because it's got an entire Postgres deployment built in. Yeah, you'd have to write all that by yourself, or you'd have to go to Postgres and find the bitnami chart for Postgres, which is, I think, what we did before, I think. So anyway, so there's Postgres. It's all in there. Um, One of the reasons to do this, of course, is because the idea is the Postgres that's shipped with the Helm chart has been tuned to work well with Harbor, which it was not in the previous versions. Here we go. Harbor Redis headless. So this also has an embedded Redis, and I am gonna make a bet here that there's no such thing as a Redis in here at all. Nope. In fact, the only Redis in here is the thing that says, hey, go use Redis over there. There's nothing that builds Redis into Kubernetes or deploys to Kubernetes. There's just the database saying, hey, use Redis, right? It tells you what Redis pool to use and everything. But if I remember right, there is nothing in this entire Helm chart. Oh, wait, there is. I take it back. There it is right there. Did I just miss the Postgres one too? This is super important. I gotta really be sure on this point. because this information is influencing the decision about which chart to use. And that's a huge, it's a big deal because that's like you're codifying what upstream you are dependent on, and that is very important. If you're an enterprise, it's super important because it actually turns out to be money. Did I type it wrong? All right, post gra. Is it in here? Nope. No pattern found for post. God damn it. I'm an idiot. Oh shit. Maybe it is in here and I was wrong. I know. Yeah. Okay, so there's all the code to do the Postgres thing. Uh, I searched for Harbor Postgres. I bet I misspelled it. I'm just searching for, I'm scared now, so I'm just searching for Postgres while I have it typed correctly until I find it. Nope, that's it. All right, I was right. Phew. Stream is buffering hard. Oh no. Why is the stream buffering hard? Why is it buffering hard? It's buffering for me too, yeah. Yeah, it is. It's definitely buffering for me too. There's something going on with the computer. I must have broke something. Yeah, I was afraid of that. Oh, you know what? It's the low power thing. That's what. Yeah. Low power buffer. You see my power up here? Sorry, that's low power. Um, I mean, how much time we got? What I can get back is by getting the power. This is a really thing with Macs is that they do not like low power, even though it says it. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I'll stop streaming though because it'll put a hole in the. That's not an issue. That's power issue. Right now, I'm on really low power. That's chewing up more power is being. So there is potentially. I don't have a higher battery brick. This is my power battery brick, and I can. Oh, I'm doing all new thing to do. So I still does. Let me try this. Free. Do you know how hard it is to have a full-time job and still stream and go biking and stay healthy and everything? See, look at how much faster it is now. See that? It's gone, right? Is it working for you now? It is, right? It's much better. From what I'm seeing, it's much better. I got you some more power. Nobody's answering. Maybe they can't hear me. They're gone. They're totally gone. Let's go see. Let's go see if they're there. No, they just like they already left. They're all gone. Check one, two. It's still lagging. How come it's not lagging for me now? Now it's not lagging. Last couple of minutes. Garbled, sped up audio, and low frame rate. What? It says my bitrate is still fine though. Hmm. You refreshed, it's been fine. Um, did it finally turn smooth for you? Okay. I'm at fault. It's my fault. My bad. I let the power get low, and I just plugged it into high power, in the highest possible power it can be plugged into. So, um, if you're on YouTube, I'm sorry. You can hopefully you fast forward past that part. Um, and I think I am going to start streaming to YouTube. Okay, so we've only got 20 minutes left. So let's try to get through this file. It was like a minute behind, really. I don't think it is now. I think it's caught up. I think it was the power thing. If not, I'll just stream from something else. Just let me know. We will. I have a machine that works to stream from. That Windows machine. I'll just put something else on there. Yeah. I think you guys talked me into putting Linux back on my desktop for streaming. Although if I do that, then I can't do the little bubble thing. We're good now? Okay. Um, Note to self, don't let the power get low. All right, so we have Postgres on here, and we don't have Postgres. We just have Postgres calls in the goharbor version of the chart. But uh, in the bitnami version, and the guys who are, I can just hear them in my head. They're like, "Yeah, we already knew that," and they would be right. But I need to understand what's going on here as I'm porting it. I have to know. That's just how I am. But look at all this Postgres stuff, man. It's got tons of Postgres stuff. So we can get through the Postgres review. Let's review that Postgres stuff. Uh, Wait, what? How is this at the top of the chart? Oh, that was just the pod distribution budget. What? Okay, so see this right here? This pod distribution budget stuff right here. Let me show you. Let me point my finger. This stuff right here is awesome. Is awesome. Is awesome. Actually, this one's more fun. This right here is awesome because this means that the people who put together this chart have already thought about pod distribution budget stuff. They've already thought about performance and management and how Harbor is gonna how Postgres is gonna be integrated into the Harbor deployment. And I mean that's not, particularly sexy all by itself, but the fact that it exists means that there's been some thought about how all this stuff is going to play nice together in the same Harbor namespace. All this stuff, by the way, is living in the same namespace. So right now it's all in the default because I didn't set namespace when I flattened it. But that will change into Harbor. So this Postgres and Redis and Harbor and Nginx and all that are all going to live in the Harbor namespace. All right, so there. We're down to 12% here. Metadata name, Postgres extended configuration. It's only 20% down. Okay, this is the one that we were looking at before. What is that about? Headless, okay. Postgres headless, interesting. Oh, it's the service. So this is the headless Postgres service, okay. Yeah. Um, there's a Harbor Postgres service. I see that, you know what, something else I did when they organized this chart, which is kind of interesting. Um, they organized the chart based on object type, Kubernetes resource object type. And so you have Postgres stuff intermingled with the Nginx and Redis stuff. I don't know if I like that. It really doesn't matter. It's important. What? No, resource requests and stuff to find. So to try to figure out what are the requirements for yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Boy, I hear you. Um, hmm So, so you see, here's Redis headless, and here's Postgres. This is what I'm talking about. So here's Harbor Postgres. I'm betting you this is Harbor Postgres HL. Harbor Registry. Those are, oh, that's the bond claims. Never mind. I'm pretty sure all the services are right next to each other, though. So this is a service. This is a service. This is a service. I guess that's fine. Security Live, what's up? How are you doing? We are just trying to stay happy going through a Helm chart. Thank you for the raid, everybody. Yay. Um, and yeah, I'm on a Mac. So what? Sue me. Um, but I log into a Linux machine. I'm sorry, I'm using the largest Unix distribution in the world. How about that? Is that better? Thanks for being here, Raiders. We're trying to codify a Harbor installation, and we recently made a significant discovery about the goharbor, which is listed on their website, being different than the bitnami chart. The bitnami chart includes Redis and Postgres. If that's all foreign to you, I'm sorry. This video will be up on YouTube as well. It's kind of a co-working video. Me trying to get Harbor going and write this build script. We're in software and dev, by the way, category because we are writing code to some degree. They got Nginx. We are still a long way from through this file. An iOS game on Mac. Nice. Yeah, I streamed for Linux for 2 years, and I got past all the screen ripping and all this shit that it's bad with Linux desktop. Then Pop OS shit the bed, went black screened on me. I had to SSH in from a remote system to get my computer back. And then I couldn't do Zwift on my machine anymore. And so I went back to Windows and put a 8 GB VM on there so I could play my Zwift. But now I have a couple Mac laptops, so I can run my Zwift on my laptop when I want and stream it. And I've all but decided to like install Linux back onto my primary streaming machine. The only downside of that is the streaming software for IRL streaming. Some of it is Windows specific, believe it or not. So, YAML is technically code. Good point. Job service Helm, pod affinity, all that shit. What is this? Oh wait, there's some resource constraints right there. What is this? Automatic cert renewal? What is this? Harbor job service. Interesting. I don't know what that is. It's a Harbor thing. Harbor has a concept of a job? Interesting. Well, there is. Okay, so this is actually one of the reasons I wrote the YAML node tree walker, because I wrote a oopsie, develop fast with Docker. How about no? How about we never look at Docker again, ever? Um, so this right here, this is not in this one because this is the registry itself. We don't have to write the translation code. But normally I would be walking the tree and looking for any key that says image and changing uh, deleting the registry and stuff. And I actually have code that I started in my YAML node tree parser that does that. That translates the image tags. So because it's a really common thing. Everyone's container scabs and jobs. Really? LBG, you know what? You were helping me with a project before. Next time I do a stream, if you see KT in the name, the Kubernetes Toolkit, um, I really would like to have you there. It would be fun if you wanted to help commit to that. What it is it's a Go monolith, and I'm deciding to do it in Cobra just for compatibility with what I'm doing at work. It's the only reason. And it includes things like this, like globally finding and replacing all image keys, and if they begin with Docker, change them to something else reliably using YAML node recursion. But that's just like one little thing that it does. It does a bunch of stuff that's related to Kubernetes transformations and mostly transforming YAML data after it's been flattened with customized or YAML template or kubectl template. Anyway, if you're interested at all in any of that, I'm sure you probably have some great ideas. What it mostly is it's a collection of a bunch of, shell Python scripts that do different things, not particularly safely. Um, is that the new Helm? No, but it's designed to have enough tools in it so that you can deal with flattened Helm charts in a way that's missing from other things. It's funny you say that because we are just on the verge of putting our own templatization in there because customized doesn't cover all the bases. And we were really closely, seriously thinking about having a generic Golang templating tool that could do its own replacement. So like if you could flatten the customized templates and then make your replacements and then put them through your own. But at that point, you're starting to diverge really seriously from upstream. And image namespace from values. The registry, yeah, but the problem is you can't set it on everything. Everything that refers to image, including config maps, can't be changed. I don't think. I mean, that would be nice if that's. It also differs. I mean, we have a need for globally chasing any reference to a specific image to something else. Um, particularly the registry name. And another thing, we have another tool that extracts all the image names and sticks them in a file. I know, so Helm, right? Yeah, but not as bad. Yeah. I mean, so one of the tools that's not Helm related would be to dump every single container image that a Kate app uses, like everything from here. As a simple way to do that would be grep, right? So what are we, 58%? So if we did this, if we did grep image from here, you see all those images, right? And uh, eh, just open a PR. Um, Yeah, I can't. I wish that was part of our working process. We can't do that. Mm, maybe I need to talk to them about that. But so this is actually a pretty common thing, right? So a pretty common thing when you're bringing when you're installing a Kates app, we cannot pull anything from external. So I got to be all internal, except in this case. In this case with the registry, which is the thing into which we're going to put all the other stuff. It's got an exception, so we can actually put proxy references, SOX proxy references, and pull through HTTPS proxy and pull the images via Scopio into a new. Normally we would pull those into a new registry, right? In our case, we're pulling these directly and sticking them right into Kubernetes without any vetting at all, which is normally a bad thing to do. There's just like a chicken and the egg problem with all of Kubernetes, in my opinion. Um, Once to infinity, yeah. And it picks up string troubles. It doesn't block my work. Yeah, I mean that's really the problem with it. Um, so here's an interesting one. This one's pulling from the image from goharbor DNS. Um, so yeah, so that's all good. Oh wait. That changed? Oh, I'm looking at the goharbor YAML, and this one's the bitnami YAML. Interesting. Interesting. So the Harbor project officially moved all of its images. Wait, is there a goharbor reference in here? Oh my God. Well, we're using the bitnami one because it has Postgres and Redis built in. But Harbor has generally changed over to goharbor, and because they don't want to use Docker, and all the images from bitnami are pulling from Docker. If you know any reason at all, I'm serious. If you know any reason at all not to use the bitnami chart, like maybe it's too out of date, I need to know that because that means we have to write our own Postgres and Redis installer and or flatten or basically cape sapify those two things in a way that will play nice with Harbor. Because they are not in the goharbor YAML. We just compared. We compared the goharbor YAML and the bitnami, and Redis and Postgres are not installed in the goharbor stuff. The bitnami stuff actually installs it. So as of this moment, because our current system uses the bitnami chart and is now going to use it to do its the Postgres installation. So yeah. Um, But this is one of those questions, right? You'd think there would be an authoritative source for the chart. There's not. Hey, um, we're at 59% through here. We're gonna try to get through before 4 when I'm gonna go biking. Um, so what is this? What are PVCs? Okay, the actual Nginx deployment. I don't need to know that. I trust them on that. Um, so I think we're getting near the end here. The Harbor portal. What is the portal? Oh, this is the thing that we were referring to the other day. Okay, this is their front end, right? Okay. Um, OBG, are you guys still using Helm charts? Are you one of the groups that flattened? I can't remember. Last time I was doing all this stuff, I think Portiaville said that they are required to make everything into a Helm chart, and they also said they work for a really large investment bank. That their process was everything must be a Helm chart. You remember that debate from a year ago or so? I'm just wondering if you remember because that um, there were a number of other people from CTO level kind of people that were talking or senior engineer architects. They were talking about their strategic direction with regard to Helm, and a bunch of the rest of them were saying to flatten, including Tony Paw. Tony Paw said definitely flatten Helm. Don't play with Helm. Helm sucks. But then there are these other conservative companies, and Porsche was saying that their process is everything must be home. They also must they also must check any container before they have air gap dish kind of containerization of everything. You cannot bring images in and then after the fact trivia scan them. You have to check them in advance before they get added. And hey Ray, so we're gonna be on the bike here in a bit. I'm gonna probably take a little longer than usual to get on the bike. But yeah. Else we tried like customize. Oh, you tried customize. You know what's funny? They snuck customize in on me. I did not want to use it. I'm trying to give customize the benefit of the doubt now. In our standard process, they now depend on customize. And I am like, we use customize, but yet we still have bash code basically making a template and replacing values. And I'm like, and I asked the question, I said, can we do this with customize? And they're like, no, Customize doesn't do that. It's not in that realm. So we need yet another template language. They go, yeah, here's the one I built on my own personal site. I'm like, we can't use some random template engine that you made. It's like, and that does bring up the question, like, if we're going to be templatizing things again, because we were dealing with flattening complex stuff, then like, why are we not just using Helm correctly and redoing the Helm chart like Bitnami has done from the official stuff from goharbor, right? Or is there something about Customize I don't know? Because I don't want to have 5 different template engines in our different K-SAP applications. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I mean, at what point do you start to punt? I don't think you should ever do a home install off the fly. I just don't think you should do that. I think every single person should flatten their template, look at it, and then most people aren't going to be able to do that anyway because there is no concept of backing up Postgres, right? That does not exist in the Harbor chart template. If you go to the Go Harbor template, the Go Harbor template doesn't have any concept of Postgres, period. You have to write a KSAP or you have to install and manage Postgres, which is essentially a KSAP by encapsulating all that into a Git repo for Postgres, right? And in addition to that, you also have to come up with a backup process, which we have codified. We have our own way of doing that. We have a config map, and we have, a Kubernetes cron job that runs and regularly PG dumps to a particular PVC, and that stuff can all be restored at some point. And I'm going to do that here as well. But that backup of Postgres belongs in my way of thinking. If it's a part of our Harbor installation, it's a part of just the Postgres instance that's going with Harbor. That backup process, that backup deployment, Kubernetes deployment, all the pieces that go into it, that stuff needs to also go into the manifest along with and it would get listed and customized under our resource listing. And then we would say, okay, here's all the YAML to do the stuff that we wrote to back up Postgres, which is our own customization. Here's let's actually look at the customize, by the way. So if we look at the customization stuff, we look at our resources. I'm sorry, manifests. We have the base customization, so app.yaml, and then we're gonna have pg backup .yaml, and yeah. If you really want a production deployment, I would use Redis and Postgres operators. That's what everybody keeps saying. And the answer is that no. Because boy, look, what happens when we need to upgrade our version of Harbor? You know, in a perfect world, so okay, the reason that this is actually a really poignant conversation, because the reason that I am going with the Postgres that's embedded, the reason we've decided to do that is because of shit like this that I'm going to show you. If you go through and go look at the upgrade path, right? If you look at Harbor administration and you look at the upgrade path, let me show you some of the dangers of not using the built-in thing. And configure project quotas, blah blah blah. Installation process, hardware components, high availability with Helm. We did this. It took us to reconfigure troubleshooting hardware. Where's the upgrade? The upgrade one says you have to have version 10 of Postgres versus some other version. So the danger, the risk is that you would end up not getting, I mean, let's say that you want to go from one version to another and your Postgres is down level. Then you obviously have to, write an upgrade to your Postgres. All that work would have to take place outside of the scope, right? Is it under administration? I thought it was under there. I went there. It wasn't there. Anyway, upgrade Harbor and migrate data. So here, you must use version 10. Again, you must back up your data in Harbor 2.9 using external data, so make sure you're using Postgres greater than 12. See this? Okay, so this is what I'm trying to talk about. There's another warning, I think between 2.5 and 6, or 7 and 8, I can't remember, that says you have to have version 10. So the use case here, the working, I don't know, the workflow is I want to go from this version to this version to this version, right? And you want to reduce the amount of downtime and outages and everything like that, right? And you have a number of choices to make about how you deploy your hardware. And one of the choices, if you use a bitnami chart, is to use the embedded Postgres that comes with it. That means that when you undeploy it, if you take it all the way out of your system and then deploy a new one, you get the version of Postgres that gets installed with the chart. So this is actually interesting. Let's go ahead and see if we can work for that. Current is 15. Yeah, but see, the problem, but that's not the issue. The issue is how did you get there? right? And if you're, what I'm trying to say is if you are managing Postgres completely independently and entirely on its own, and you only want one version of Postgres versus saying, I want a highly customized version of Postgres that's been tailored to work with Harbor because Harbor sucks ass at using Postgres HA in earlier versions. I know that because we had a problem with it. Then you have the issue, right? You have the issue of like, what do we do? How do we do that? And so if there is an option to encapsulate a version of Postgres and a version of Redis so that they are hand in hand compatible with Harbor as it steps up by each version, then I don't have that problem at all. I don't have an independent upgrade path for Postgres, and God forbid I have anything depending on that version of Postgres. You see what I'm saying? I mean, this idea, initially it seems like a good idea to have a separate version of Postgres, right? And a separate and a version, and your Harbor. You're like, oh, we should never have those things together. But then you start to run into problems because the whole idea of having an independent Postgres, oh, I'm going to have these other things use it as well. Well, now you've locked yourself into a specific version because now your other applications are dependent on a specific version of Postgres potentially. They shouldn't be, but maybe. And then what? And then you're trying to upgrade, you want to upgrade Harbor. We had this problem with some other applications in our Kubernetes cluster that actually kept our cluster back level by several years because it couldn't even do the latest Kubernetes. So the best practice, in my opinion, is when possible, embed. And that is what we are doing with our Harbor deployment. As switching the image, PG operators implement that for you. Yeah, but that's an oversimplification because, um, yeah, operators can be a mess. I mean, I'd have to give it some more thought, but I don't. I like operators better than Helm for sure, but operators can also cause problems because you have to give them all kinds of permissions. You have to deploy them the right way. It depends on what you mean by operator too. Some people have been using the word operator to refer to a command that they run from the command line that does all the right things and creates a CRD for this stuff. Um, hey, Brian, like this, we can maybe chat for 5 minutes in Discord. Not right now, but at some point we could probably do that. Yeah, that'd be great. As of this moment, though, I need to make some decisions because I'm at work and I need to do this for work. And our path going forward, unless there's some really substantial evidence not to do this, is to use the chart from Bitnami that includes Postgres and Redis. And what I would like to do right now is to see what version in the Bitnami chart is actually hard-coded. So I want to see what version of Postgres that we're on. So Postgres version 16, version 15 in here. If I were to flatten the chart from Bitnami for 2.5.1, I would imagine it would probably have version 10 or something in there. Let's actually try that. I'm really curious to see about that. What is the command to flatten again? So kubectl, no, Helm template. Um, is it list versions? Wait, what? I don't have Helm on here? Wait, what? Oh, I'm on Anton. I thought I already installed Helm on there. Guess not. Um, M12. I made an installer. Give me a second. I gotta quit here in a bit. Your kitty, your kitty cats. Is that a good thing? Um, oh my God, I hate this thing. Install Helm. I'm not using you know, Helm install, which Helm? All right, so let's do that again. Helm, what is it? What is the command? I don't have time. We have to do that another day. I'm supposed to go biking at 4 o'clock, but I do want to have a conversation with you about this. But yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong. I just don't today. I don't have time to go through it. We've decided to keep all the pieces together as best we can because it's easier to manage that way. Um, so Helm template list versions. I think that's it. No, that's not. Is it search? I think it's search. This has got the craziest command line. No, it's not search. What am I saying? It's repos. Is it Helm search or Helm repo search? Helm. Yeah, I definitely want to do it though. Bash dash L. Helm. All right. Helm, what is it? List releases. Oh God, I can't remember the command. Is it search? Bitnami. I might not even have the chart here because I don't think I have it. Okay, Helm, uh, God, what is it? I can't remember my commands. I don't do Helm all the time. I'm gonna put bitnami. Why do I have two of these, by the way? Because I'm a bad programmer? That would be right. Bad programmer, no biscuit. Um, do, 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 do. I want to list all the verses. I had code for this already written. I put it in my KT thing. I already have the Bitnami stuff. So, um, actually, images. Wait. Um, go. Why is this nothing? Why is there nothing here? This VM's killing me, man. I gotta get out. I'm gonna put Linux on there. I'm gonna start streaming from Linux instead. I'm gonna put Linux on there so I don't have to deal with the VM shit. It's help search repo. That's it. That's it. I couldn't remember. All right, so now we could. Oops, I just did everything. Bitnami slash harbor. And then returns true the valid false. Oh wow, that's cool. Um. Okay, so chart. Actually, it's going to do the latest automatically. I don't want latest. I want template for bitnami harbor version. I can use my KT tool. I can use my KT tool. I don't have the reverse version though. I actually want that, even though they shit on it, said it wasn't useful. I think it could be useful. To look up what chart version goes with what version. I wrote that code and I deleted it all because they made me feel bad. Like that's not accurate. If you could have multiple charts that are listed for that one. I'm like, that's probably true. So just list them all, right? For that version. Anyway, but there's exactly one app version for each chart version though, but the reverse is not true. I'm definitely grep. I know. I was gonna do that, but I don't want to do that. Okay, fine. I was trying to find the image for the specific version. I want it to be specifically 2.5.0. Anyway, actually, I think I just answered my own question. Grep 2.5.1. Yeah, look at them all. Fucking hate grep. That's not gonna find anything. I need word boundaries. PCRE grep. These are Perl only things. I was gonna do that too, yeah. Um, oh, whoopsie. Uh, bitnami harbor. I know, don't laugh at me. I suck. So, yeah, you can't use the B unless it's PCRE grep. You know, that's like word boundary. It's only Perl. That's not in. If you guys don't know, a little note about regular expressions. There's basic, enhanced, PCRE, and whatever the hell gawk, knock, and awk do, which is doesn't follow anything at all. That's why Perl was created in Perl 1. Perl Regular Expressions PCRE is supported in every modern language, including Go, Python, Rust. The end. So that's why I'm using PCRE grep, because I know it, and the regular expressions are consistent and they will work in any language. It's probably not worth it to take over your grep with PCRE grep because the grep that's out there won't work. Built-in grep could either be enhanced regular expressions or basic. It depends on how your system was built, which sucks ass, and that's why Perl was invented. That is the reason Perl was invented. I'm shaking my finger. Stop saying shit about Perl. Rip grep is not something I would use. Daryl, how was that? How'd I do? Okay, so I don't want to talk about it. Mm. I know. People are going off on regular expressions now in the chat. You're gonna have to join us on Twitch and eventually YouTube. I'm gonna start restreaming to YouTube. So YouTubers, you can join us live very soon. Not right now though. All right. Should we restream to Facebook? No, bad idea. LinkedIn? No, just YouTube and Twitch. That's good. Okay, never mind. What was I looking for? I want to see if the Postgres version, before we end this stream, and I'm late for my other stream, and I got to change my clothes and everything, get in my bike gear. If somebody be here, they'll check it in. Before we leave this video though, I want to see if the 2.5 version of Harbor in the bitnami chart accounts for the fact that it needs Postgres, it can use Postgres under version 10. We already saw that the latest version of the bitnami chart for 2.11 Harbor mandates to use and includes all of the code necessary to pull down the image for Postgres 15, which is one of the latest. Okay, yes, we're about to download the chart and look in the chart. That's exactly what we're doing. I just wanted to make sure to get the right chart. And so in order to do that, we need to get, people are backseating a little bit on this. I appreciate it. So we're going to go do a bit template, command Helm template. I hate that I'm having to learn Helm over again. I fucking hate Helm. Sorry for this swear word. Helm template, uh, bitnami. I suck. I know. I suck. I'm sorry. Okay, but Helm template bitnami dash dash version. I had to look up the chart version for 2.5.1, which apparently there are several. Why would there be more than one chart? I don't understand. I really don't understand that. Oh, so they made improvements to the chart that were independent from the improvements to the app version. Okay, now I get it. I know I get it. Actually, this is interesting because for my K2 tool, what I want to do is I want to return the highest number version of the chart that for a given application version. And I want to put that into a command because I don't want to have to do all this shit again. I want to be able to have a command that I can just do this. Stay tuned for that. That'll be a Go programming stream some point. Should be an dependency subchart. Yes. So we're going to do 14.0.2, and we're going to dump that to harbor bitnami dash 2.5.1.yaml. Actually, no, dot 14.0.2 dot YAML, because my KT command already can look it up. Let me show you. I'm sorry, I'm going to show you. I don't care if you don't want to know. I'm going to show you anyway. Go install cmd KT. And I haven't done anything on Anton yet, so now we can do this. We can do KT tab. Whoops. Exec bash dash l. Did I have to? I don't think my bash recipe's been updated. It hasn't. Oh god, this is going to be so ugly. Please don't break. Please don't break. Oh, it worked. Oh my god. Exec bash dash l kt space taste. What the hell? My completion's not in there yet. I must not have committed it to my dot files on the other system. Anyway, um, kt completion bash tab. There we go. Home tab app version 4. I don't remember. Oh, there we go. Chart and version. So the chart is bitnami harbor app version 4, and just to do the reverse test on this, 14.0.2, that should give us 2.5.1. Okay, good. My tool works. All right, um, so let's do that. Right. So let's go look at the heart number bitnami stuff, and we should see the Postgres actually. Grep. This is lame. Actually, we could do a search for that using YT, but I'm not good enough yet with the query language for YT to do that. Grep search. What am I doing? Grep image. Yeah, look at that. Actually, let's just look for the Postgres one. Don't yell at me. It's saying 15. Oh, I doubt it. No, it's 13. So that means if you used the bitnami charts and you enabled the Postgres install, which you can disable. We disabled it in our bitnami chart. There's a true-false YAML flag you can use. That Postgres version 13 would be installed as a part of the Harbor install. And again, I'm making the point that there's a decision to be made, and LBG is arguing the opposite point, which is totally valid, which is, do you want to keep Postgres separate from Harbor, as has been documented by the goharbor project, or do you, and then upgrade them on their separate path, but make sure that their dependencies are in line as you do so, or uh, use the bitnami approach, which squishes Postgres, Redis, and Harbor into a single deployment. It's application-ish kind of thing, and then do those. Um, it is old. It is old. It doesn't matter. It's like, it's like when apps, when you were thinking about apt packages and things like that, you're thinking about, how old they are. The thing of it to keep in mind is that sometimes the newer version is not compatible with a previous version, and that can create dependencies. Our team's decision is to move to the all encapsulated Harbor with Postgres and Redis built in. And because of this migration maintenance dilemma, is being able to, because the idea is that if Harbor upgrades, if there's a Postgres upgrade they need, they'll put it into the bitnami chart automatically, and it'll pull a different image, and Postgres will be taken down and rebuilt. And that Postgres that's being built with Harbor will have absolutely no dependency ties to any other application in our environment. And that idea of encapsulation is largely why Kubernetes exists. And in my opinion, and trying to maintain a separate version of Postgres and a separate version of Redis and a separate version is more of an old school way of managing services within the enterprise. And one of the reasons for the Kubernetes idea of being able to put all these dependencies together into a single package, it's not, but is so that at an enterprise level, you can upgrade everything at the same time without the interdependencies that have come to plague us over the years, because we're waiting for a certain version to be there or not. So that's the idea. Uh, PGEOL is EOL 13 November 2025. Yep, which is one of where the reason we're getting off of it. It's also highly insecure. There's a bunch of security issues with the current version of Postgres that we have deployed. And even though we're behind a VPN, that's one of the primary drivers for that. So I think that's probably a good way to yeah, but this is 2.5.1. I deliberately pulled up that version for that purpose, LBG. Did you not see that part? What I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure they're on 2.15 for the 2.11 harbor. You see what I'm saying? I wanted to see if they were back level in that other one, and they are, right? So, which is yet another. I'm glad we did this, because this is yet another reason. The way that we were gonna do this is we were gonna port, and I was gonna make a KSAP for 2.5.1, which would have been a huge mistake. And then the idea was we would eventually, step up all the versions one step at a time and get all the way to 2.11. But then I summarized the reason for this at the beginning of the video, but we've since decided to jump all the way to 2.11, and to instead of migrating the data, have people enter new data into the new system for lots of reasons, including the fact that we're going to have a new cluster anyway with a new authentication scheme that they already have to authenticate to, and there's a bunch of dead data in the old one. So that's it. But bitnami chart HA. Yeah, the latest chart. We saw that. Maybe you missed that. I looked at that right. I went and got copy and stuff, but we actually looked at that one specifically. So let's grab images from Harbor Bitnami. Yeah, the Bitnami one, and then let's grab Postgres, and you'll see. So that you'll see that's on 1.15. So what? Did I spell it wrong again? Where's Win to make fun of me again? Okay, that doesn't make me happy. There we go. What? Wait a second. Hold the phone here. Hold the phone. I swear I saw version 15 in there. Oh my God. This is going to be. Oh my God. This is such a big deal, you guys. Um, I'm pretty sure there are two versions back. Yeah. Fuck. Oh God. This entire 90-minute video or 2-hour video has been worth it. 15 is the version I was expecting to find, but I'm not seeing it. There is no Postgres version in in the goharbor project at all, because they did that on purpose. They said you need to install your own version. This really, really changes things. I mean, this is really significant. I am really glad we found this. This is going to directly change the conclusion that my team has made up to this point. And the decision is very simple. It's a hard decision, but talking about what the decision is pretty simple. So 16 is the latest, right? So here is the decision. Do you stay? Do you use the documented way? By the way, that's a little tough to quantify as well, because both using bitnami charts and the goharbor charts are both documented as being the way to do it on the Harbor website. They haven't fixed that yet. So now the question becomes, it appears to me that the Harbor project just said, look, we don't want anything to do with Postgres and Redis. If you want to use it, go do it. And we're going to, in our chart that we're going to support, we're not going to have anything in there about it. You just need to make sure you have at least this version. And they put big black warnings everywhere right here. Make sure you're on version 12, right? In this case, it's 2.11. So the bitnami charts have decided to go with Postgres version 13. And Postgres version 14, 15, 16 are out, and yet the charts have not been updated for those different versions of Postgres. Um, and yet version 13 in Postgres is going to be end of life next, as LBG said, next year in 2025. So if we're going to go through all of this work to do this upgrade, and then find out that bitnami doesn't decide to upgrade their Postgres dependencies, and 13 gets end of life, and they haven't made this really pretty, encapsulation of Postgres in the Harbor chart for us to use, now we're screwed. Because now we've latched our cart to the bitnami horse, and we depended on bitnami updating it. So here's the decision. The decision that my team has to make, and potentially your team has to make, is, do we manage our own Postgres sub KSAP that is associated with Harbor, potentially our own standalone KSAP, which is more old school that we were talking about earlier, whereas you just have a Postgres instance that everybody uses and then manage its dependencies, and everybody is just using this single thing in your cluster and then you're just reusing it? Or are we going to enable are we going to build a Postgres, KSAP that goes with Harbor and have it be in the same namespace and everything, which is what we were doing previously. We kind of had both. So my team and potentially your team has to make a decision. Do we manage the Postgres and Redis installations separately from Harbor, as is documented in the most latest release of Harbor, and is obviously the way that the latest the latest Helm chart for Harbor, supported on the goharbor repo registry, wants to be. That's what it wants to be. It wants to be independent. It wants you to do all the Postgres and Redis separately. They don't care how you install it. You can, and there's many ways to install it, obviously, but they don't want anything to do with that. Meanwhile, the bitnami people are like, no, we're going to bundle that stuff all together. We're just going to be really out of date. So LBG, I'm glad I listened to you. I am so glad you asked me about the 15 thing, because I swear to God, if you go back in the video, I think what I did is I saw another image that had 15 in it, and I mistakenly associated that with Harbor. Whoops. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. In fact, I'm just going to check myself here. Um, there was definitely a Docker image someplace that had 15, and I think I saw the wrong thing. So I'm really glad I looked at it again. Why can't it find? Harbor adapter trivia coin. Maybe not. Maybe I'm just seeing things. Maybe it was a different image or something. I could have swore I did that though. Yeah. Postgres 13. They both have Postgres 13 in them. Are they the same chart version? Did I overwrite the other chart somehow? I didn't, right? Please tell me I didn't. It's not trivial. Yes. There it is right there. Okay. That's what I saw. This is just the chart version for Postgres. That's what I saw. Fuck. But the PG operator will do that for you. Well, what you're suggesting would be that even if we did it as a Kate sub app of Harbor, we could use the PG operator and build a like I originally started doing. We would have a build PG and we would use the operator to do that installation. And this is actually something that becomes kind of a problem when you flatten your own stuff and do your own installations, because I have a Postgres dependency and I want that Postgres. We have to make a decision. Do we put that Postgres into the Harbor namespace? If so, we're building an installation for Postgres in a build app that could be reused for other things that need Postgres. Does that make sense? And then using submodules and that kind of thing gets kind of complicated, right? But you could do that. You could make another Postgres that has the latest Postgres build in it, and then you Sapify that, and then you're not redoing that application of Postgres, and Postgres gets to be installed with the operator. If we write all the code and we put it under the Harbor installation, then we potentially have sort of vendored the installation of Postgres using the operator, in which case we now need to pull it all out and put it into something else that also needs Postgres. Kind of like you would if you had a library dependency in Go with vendoring. But you don't have a centralized place for managing the Kate's app for Postgres. So this has been extremely productive. I know it doesn't feel like I'm getting a lot of stuff done, but these are monumentally huge consequential decisions that can only be made at this moment in time before we deploy to the cluster, because we are going to be setting precedent for our other Kate's apps and once we get all our data in the new version of Harbor, once we do that transition at the end of the year, end of fourth quarter, that's it. We're not going to be able to like go back, right? So these architectural decisions are hugely consequential, and this is why I am streaming it, because I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't run a LBG who's got a lot of extensive experience doing enterprise level architecture in Kubernetes. Um, so that's exactly why I'm on this stream. This is exactly why I'm going to put this on YouTube. For those of you who slogged through this entire video, um, which I'm going to wrap up now because I gotta let this settle. And this is a good top chat. Wait, if you want to stick around, LBG, I'm going to be on the bike and we can actually talk about while I'm biking, if you want to. So just as I conclude this video, um, let me just recap if you are just joining us. Hopefully the video is not too weird. I should turn my light back on. My light died. My light went off. I have this like really cool light. There we go. How's that? It's kind of too light, huh? How about down here? Put it down here. All right, I have to have stars and sparkles. You can't be a streamer without some fancy stars and sparkles and stuff. It's like the rule. Also, you need to make thumbnails like crazy or whatever. Okay, so here's the takeaway. I'm going to summarize it as best I can in like a minute and a half. If you've jumped all the way to the end of the video, now's me talking and telling you what we did. Okay, so we went through the charts. We found up a bunch of things. We got started consolidating the builds. We started out the day with the intent of using the bitnami chart that has Postgres and Redis built into it. And by the end of the day, after a significant amount of fapping about and looking at things and seeing how things are done, we actually found potentially a bug in the Helm chart with regard to HTTP proxy, but that's neither here nor there. And LBG was pushing to use the operator to install Postgres versus using whatever it is that they're using in the bitnami chart. And I was presenting the argument that by having the encapsulated dependencies, you have less work to do going forward when you do your upgrade because they build them into the Helm chart. And LBG was making the point of, well, they can put them in the Helm chart all they want, but updating between major versions, say between 13 and 14 and 14 and 15, is not something that you can put in a Helm chart. That is a major, major upgrade. Um, and you might be able to pull down the thing. We also talked about stepping with Postgres dependencies and data migrations and stuff like that. So we presented arguments about, whether you should encapsulate them all together and continue to use the bitnami charts, or you should use the goharbor charts, which don't have any reference whatsoever to Redis and Postgres other than in the charts as to how to call out to them via, network calls and stuff like that. So we end the day with a very important decision to make, and that decision is: do we proceed with the bitnami chart, or do we use the goharbor chart and then build essentially K-SAPs or sub-K-SAPs for installation of Postgres and Redis so that our Harbor HA dependencies can be met, right? Um, in the past, doing that, I've got a kind of a bad taste in my mouth because the Harbor HA doesn't have any idea how to use Postgres HA, at least in 2.5.1, it didn't. In the process, we found out that the bitnami charts are hard-coded to version 13 of Postgres, including, I made a mistake because the chart number on Postgres is 15, and I saw that in the YAML, and I thought, oh, Postgres version 15. It was actually the chart version. It wasn't the Postgres version. If it were version 15, that would have been sort of nice. Turns out, no, that the bitnami charts are still supporting version 13, which will be end of life at the end of 2025 LBG. Thank you for that information. So, in fact, the most recent release of Postgres is version 16, and they're getting up on version 17. So, if we're going through all of this hassle to deploy a new registry into our enterprise that's going to have tons of data and models in it that it already is using right now, we have the opportunity to make a decision before end of fourth quarter to build a new registry properly. And the number one decision about how to do that is whether to include whether to build an independent version of Postgres to some degree in the same Harbor namespace or not, and how to encapsulate that. If you watch previous videos from me about doing this Harbor work, you'll know that I was on the path towards sort of sub-encapsulating Postgres and Redis and using the Go Harbor chart when I left the last time. And over the last week, we had a meeting and we were like, no, we want to keep it easy to upgrade, and we didn't want to have that separation. And the idea was that it would be a lot faster to make to Kate-Sapify 2.11 of Harbor. Not doing that, and now we've just discovered that the bitnami chart has a very old version of Postgres. And so I have to go back to my team and ask them a very simple question. Do we keep the bitnami charts and have faith in them to upgrade their version of Postgres? Or do we not? And do we encapsulate with a little bit more work? Do we encapsulate our own version of Postgres and create essentially three KSAP deployments, one for Postgres, one for Redis, and one for Harbor, all in the same namespace? That's the decision. So, yeah, operators usually cluster level on CRDs and creates are not namespace. I know, and that is exactly why we're not using operators. Uh, yeah. So, I mean, I'm glad you brought that up because one of the considerations here is if we use the Postgres operator, and this is one of the reasons that people don't like operators. Operators are cluster level. They create CRDs and things, and they can't be namespace. That means you can't pull it out and put another thing back in. That means if you put in Postgres, you're kind of doing it old school, right? Old school means I have one Postgres to rule them all, and all the applications shall use the Postgres, right? And then you have all kinds of problems because people have dependencies on different versions of Postgres, and you're back to 1998. So this is a big conversation to have, and I need to put this forward to my group and talk about it. Despite my extremely orange appearance, thank you for being here. Love having you, and we will see you next time. We're gonna put a bullet point in it. We're gonna raid. I'm gonna change, get on my bike, and I'll be out IRL biking if you want to join me for that. Talk more about it. Um, so, so yeah, it is a recording. Yep, it doesn't matter though. It's gonna go up. Yep, bye.